Episode 4. This is going to be a fun one, okay? This is John Peers talking to you about my experiences, solo motorbike adventures throughout Europe and Asia. But this whole program today is going to just be talking about the police. Nothing else, okay? And the reason is lots of experience with them. Good, bad, humorous, nasty, all sorts of experiences. So let's do a couple of the more funny, light-hearted ones. And I had an absolutely fabulous one at Brandenburg. Okay, so we're in Germany. Brandenburg Gate is the scene where Hitler made many of his big speeches there in that area. And I always like to take a photograph of my motorbike in a particular place. Tell you a story in a minute about taking photograph in Paris. And in different places, I like to an iconic photograph of just the bike, not me, just the motorbike in an iconic place. So Brandenburg Gate, I decide I want to take a photograph of my bike right underneath Brandenburg Gate. Not really allowed to do that because it's pedestrianised area, but you can get quite close. And I thought to myself, if I'm quick, there's no one around. Well, there was people around, but there was no police that I could see around. And I thought, if I just get on the bike, boom, straight down there, park the bike up, quick photograph, I'll be gone before anyone even notices me. Okay. And the plan went according to plan. Well, it didn't. It did. I got the photograph. But by the time I just about to get back on the bike, 2 police officers straight on top of me. A more senior one and a young lad. Okay. And sense of humour is international. Even the Germans have sense of humour. I'm not sure the French do, but they're an exception. But anyway, the Germans, definitely, they can be humorous. And this guy was smiling. He knew exactly what I was doing, but he was pretty heavy-handed with me in terms of saying I wasn't allowed to do that. And I said, but I've already got the photograph now, so, whatever. And it was one of those situations, really, where he had to be seen to be giving the lecture more than anything else. The young lad with him was quite a different ball game. He was Mr. Serious. He was Mr. I'm not joking. This is, he was walking around the bike, looking at the bike. I think he was looking to see if he could find something illegal on the bike, and my back brake wasn't properly adjusted, something like that. He was the one who was looking for trouble. The old guy, there was humour there. And I explained to him very briefly that, I like to take photographs of the bike in iconic places, and told him about Paris under the Arc de Triomphe and one thing and another, waffle. And he was, yeah, I understand what you want to do, but you're not allowed to do it. I said, yeah, I know, but I've already got the photo, so, let's go, And again, I've got to emphasise that he didn't just let me go. He needed to be seen to be giving me a bit of a lecture and a bit of a telling off. So then I suddenly thought, this is funny. I've got an opportunity here. This guy is not a bad guy. He's smiling. He's tongue-in-cheek is the best way of describing it, the way he was with me. And I said, listen, I want you to do me a favour. To which he was a bit like, you're pushing your luck here, sunshine. Favours we ain't doing. Okay. And I said, right. I said, you've seen the film Great Escape. And he went, yes. And I said, right, there is a fantastic moment in the film of Great Escape where he's just about to get on the train. He's shown his papers. And this guy immediately laughed and said, yeah. He said, I know what you mean. He said, the German officer said in English, good luck. And I said, you're right. And I said, that's what. I said, I want to do that scene with you. And he just looked. It was just one of those wonderful, wonderful moments where you could almost feel him going, you're pushing your luck way, way, way. But it was the cheek. I had the cheek to ask, and I'm of a certain age, for goodness sake. I think you get away with so much at this age, you know? Like, if you did this at 30 years of age, probably somebody'd think, oh, you're being arrogant, or you're being provocative, you're being argumentative. But at my age, no, I'm not going to do any harm. I'm just like I'm just a guy that's just getting through life, you know? So we went for it. And he went, yeah, okay. He said, how are we going to do it? And I said, I'll get some papers out of my bag. And I said, and I'll show you my papers. And you will look at the papers. And then you will say at the end, and I'm going to video all this. And I said, and you will say, good luck. And I'll go, thanks. And that'll be the moment. And he went, yeah, okay, we'll do it. And we did it. And it was perfection. It was just one of those hysterically funny moments where it just worked. It was great. Young lad, by the way, what a clueless idiot. I don't think he'd seen the film. If he had, he didn't understand the story. His sense of humour was on the floor, and I just thought, wow, there you go, you know. So that was a good little example. Next example is I'm in Poland. This is a good example. I'm in Poland, and I get up one morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm about to go out, and I go downstairs, and I put, I think I had 2 bags, small bags, and a helmet. So I put one bag on the bike, and I looked around in the car park, and there was quite a few police around. 6 o'clock in the morning? I don't know why, no idea at all. I go back to my room, I get my helmet, my gloves, whatever, the other bag, whatever it may be, come back to the bike, put those on, leg over the bike, key in the bike, turn the engine, bang. And I've got an arm on my shoulder. Turn round. Very attractive young police officer, lady. Switch the engine off, please. Well, I switched the engine off. So she said, can I ask, have you been drinking? Now, in Europe, drinking is zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. Okay, it's not like UK. Of a pint and a half probably, and you're okay. Over there, any alcohol that is registered, you're immediately arrested. Okay, so you don't drink. I'm not a drinker anyway, as it happens, but which is very good advantage from my point of view, so I'm not missing out on the stuff. But you just do not take the risk. You don't drink a half pint of beer and then drive or ride a bike. You just, well, if you do, you're taking the risk and you're an idiot. So no, I hadn't drunk the night before. And I was able to say that. And she actually, in fairness, she was really nice. She said, oh, I'm really pleased. She said, I'm really sorry. She said, I can see that you're not Polish, so you're a tourist. And I went, yeah, you know. And she asked a couple of questions. Where was I going? Where had I been? And she was highly embarrassed that she was having to, what was going to be a breathalyze for me. So, you know, thankfully, I hadn't had any to drink, and it was her apology. I wasn't apologising. You know, she felt quite guilty that they hadn't set me up as such, but they hadn't stopped me when I first came over to the bike. It was only when I turned the engine on was I had control of the bike then, and then, okay, now we're going to stop you. So she said, so I'm going to ask you to blow into this machine. So I said, yeah, not a problem at all. And round about that time, no, let's get it straight. She then started to read out in Polish from a card. She was only a youngish girl, so she didn't know the words properly. And she read in Polish a card to me. And I said at the end of it, I don't understand that. So she said, yeah, I can explain. Her English was very, very, very good. So not word for word, but she explained to me that basically whatever I said, if I fail the breathalyzer test, could be held against me. Okay. Now, my old man, my father, bad sense of humour, great sense of humour, and he told me little joke many, 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 many years ago when I was only quite young, probably 15 or 16, somewhere around there, and he told me an old a slapstick joke, if you like, but I remembered it, and it came back to me at this moment in time as well. And that joke was that he said, if ever a police lady officer says to you, anything you say may be held against you, he said, just say boobs. And all being well, you'll get a pair of boobs held against you. So, okay, so it was funny. My dad was humorous like that. It was dry humour, blah, blah, blah. And this joke came back to me at that moment. She was a lovely, really good, pretty little girl. And I just thought it's funny. So she recited in English basically what I've just said in Polish, but in English, anything you say will be held against you. And I said boobs. But, this is the important bit. The setup took a lot longer than that, because she'd explained to me that she was going, before she breathalyzed me, she would have to read me my rights. And at that stage, everything started escalating in my head, and I was thinking ahead to this joke. So I said, right, okay, that's fine, but bear with me. And on my phone, through Translate, I put boobs, okay? And I got the word, it was breasts actually, but breasts, I got the Polish word. Can't remember what it was now, but it was the word for women's boobs in Polish. Okay, so she tells me this in English, and in a very loud voice, because I wanted the other police officers to hear it as well, I shouted out in Polish the equivalent word of breasts. To which she said, "Shh!" Oh, she said, "No." She said, "Don't say that." She said, "That's a naughty word." So I said it again. So she said, "No, dude. Why are you saying that?" I said, "Well, you've said anything that I say will be held against you. So boobs, blah blah blah." So she laughs. So she understands the joke now. Probably the joke was international. By now, her boss has come over, and her boss has said very sternly, "What's going on here? What's joking around and all the rest of it?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've got a legal bike here. The back brake works. I haven't been drinking. Let's move on, shall we? And I told him the joke from there. And he, in fairness, found it funny as well. He saw the funny side of it. I was staying in a hotel right by a square, an amnesty. Absolutely beautiful, breathtaking place. And so he started chatting to me then. And as I say, this young girl was quite flustered by it, but funny, laughed at it and everything. But she was a bit shy, a bit coy about the whole thing. And he says to me then, "Well, where are you going? What have you been?" Blah, blah. And I told him where we'd been. He said, what did you do last night? So I said, "Oh, I stayed here. I stayed in this hotel. Obviously, that's why we're in the car park. But I said, I stayed in the square. And I said, I had a coffee over there, and I didn't drink a beer, but I had a meal over there." And he said, "Oh, no. He said, "You've only seen the square." So I said, "Yeah." And he said, "And you're leaving now?" I said, "Yeah, I'm heading off to Lithuania or wherever I was going, And he said, "Oh, no. He said, "You haven't seen our city. You haven't seen anything at all." And I said, "Well, yeah, I've seen the square." And he said, "Oh, but you haven't seen any." He said, No. He said, "Can you stay another night?" He said, "Or are you fixed?" So I said, No. I said, I could do what the hell I like. I'm single. I've got a motorbike. I can go wherever I want, man. So he said, right. He said, "Well, I'm finishing work at 4:00 this afternoon." He said, "So you get back in that hotel, book yourself in another night." And he said, "And we'll show you this place real." And I had a phenomenal, fantastic night with a young girl. No, not with a young girl. She was there. But 3 or 4 of the other police officers showed me the real place, showed me the things that I wanted to see. I'm very interested in communism, and they were able to show me the old communist part of the town, everything that I wanted to see. We had a fantastic evening, all off that one little bit of a joke. And this is something I really will say. You can go into a restaurant tonight and you can say to the waiter, the waitress, we'll have a gammon steak and chips, and we'll have salmon or whatever else. And that's it. Please, thank you. And that's the end of it. Or you can make an effort and you can have a conversation. You can actually treat people who serve you as human beings. And you'll be amazed what happens when that happens. Because I could have said at 6:00 in the morning, Yeah, I haven't had anything to drink. Yeah, blow in the bag. Thanks very much indeed. Off I go. But instead, I made my joke not to amuse me. My dad amused me with that joke 50 years before. I don't need to hear that joke. I was doing the joke to make her smile, to make her laugh. It wasn't a vulgar joke. It was just a bit of harmless fun, okay? And then it escalated, and it becomes then that the boss is there. And then because of that humour and the fact that it was a joke and it was fun and it was harmless, and then he wants to know why I'm leaving his beautiful city after one day and I've only been to see the tourist section, and suddenly I've got an invite and I'm with all these police officers and I get to see the real place. It was all because I made the initial effort. It would have been easier just to say, yes, I'll blow in the bag. And it wasn't the easy option that I wanted. I wanted just to have a bit of fun. And it worked. And it was great. So there's a couple of good experiences from police officers. Now let's talk about the bad ones. Latvia, one of the worst. Not my favourite country. Lithuania and Estonia, countries either side in the Baltics there, I found different. But Latvia, I'm not so sure. I was in Latvia, coming out of Estonia into the border, over the border, and I'm heading south. And I came through a little village. And yes, I am sure that I probably was doing 35 mile per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone. I'm quite sure I was the reckless person. Ha ha. Maximum doing 10 mile per hour over the limit. Probably not. It annoys me, all the speeding things of these days now, because I'm on a motorbike that has got brakes that work. When I was 16, I was riding a bike that would take 3 times the length of braking distance than a modern bike does now. Same thing applies to a car, as we all know. So I get a bit angry when I'm pulled over for doing 10 mile per hour over the limit. Anyway, this Bobby pulls me over. He's having none of it at all. He walks straight over to me, driving licence. I give him his driving licence, and he walks back to his car, which is in front of me, and through the window of his car, he throws my licence into the car. So it's not even necessarily on the seat. I was aware that he just threw it like that. He comes back to me and says to me, "You have now lost your licence. You were speeding, and you were speeding at a speed which means that I have the power to take your licence off you and ban you from driving and riding in this country." Arrogant. Every morsel of me knew he was talking rubbish, and he didn't have that power, because none of them do. But when you're confronted with it, you have to deal with it. And certainly if I'd shouted back at him and caused a rumpus, that wouldn't have done me any good at all. So I had to play the heartbroken, oh my goodness me, what can be done about this? And I knew full well what was going to happen. And I tell you how astute I am over there. I have a special wallet. And in my special wallet, I carry a €20 note and nothing else. And that's for moments like this. When he asked, and he said to me that he could make all of my problem go away. Ooh, I sarcastically thought under my breath, he can make all of this go away, and he can give me my licence back, and this incident would never have actually happened. It wouldn't be recorded anywhere. But he wanted €100. So you're talking corrupt police. Plenty of them I've come across. Russia, Bulgaria, Turkey, and this was Latvia. Most of the other countries, police are okay. But in those countries, a lot of corruption. throw in Ukraine as well, by the way. Ukraine, corrupted police. So out comes my wallet, and I'm really, really, really sorry that the only thing I've got is 20 euros. Okay? This guy's this cute. Not a problem, he said. I can follow you to an ATM. He's prepared to go that far that he's going to follow me to a cash machine. Now, I waffled something, and I don't really remember how I got out of this, because when he said that, I thought, wow, I'm in for another 80 euros here. I've got no thing. But I waffled something about the fact that I couldn't get access to money on my card. I had to go into a bank, and it couldn't be from a machine. His English was minimum. My Latvian was 0. I managed to waffle around it, and I got away with the 20 euros. Was I happy? Was I hell? Very unhappy. Really cheesed off about it. Very unhappy about it. Makes me very angry when the police are corrupt. I'm supposed to trust the police. I'm supposed to rely on the police if I've got a problem. And in certain countries, I am able to. We're all able to. But when you're in a country where the police are corrupt, it actually makes you extremely worried because you're very vulnerable to it. So the next one is Turkey. I'm in the middle of Turkey. Quite a fascinating trip. I'll tell you a little bit about it. I crossed Turkey over to Georgia, one of my favourite countries, and then I went to Azerbaijan, and I crossed Turkey on the north side. Turkey's a huge country. So north side is the touristy bit, you know, where the Brits go, where you go on holiday. When I came back, I'd been to Armenia and one thing or another. When I came back, I decided I didn't want to go the same route. So I went on the southern side. So I was very, very close to Syria. Okay. Dangerous areas. And it was during that trip that I came round this really, really long bend that you saw miles off. And there was 2 cars, and I went past them, overtook them, and I was banked right the way over. But I'm not going to say that I was Valentino Rossi. Calm down. But I was moving, simple as. And I come round this huge mile-long, half-mile-long bend, and as I came round it, bang, there's a bobby in the road, and he's literally almost in my way in the road with a red lollipop stick's the only way I describe it. He's flagging me down. In that split second, I had a choice of doing 2 things. One was to pretend not to see him, and I just decided that was high risk, so I stopped. Okay. So he took me into... it wasn't a police station, but it was a roadside. I don't even know what it would have been. It may have been a border control at some stage. It was a building, okay. And he marches me upstairs and he puts me in a cell. So he put me a bed, a toilet, and a wash hand basin. And he puts me in there. And he leaves me in there for probably half an hour. Now, in your head, you're thinking, okay, I've been speeding, but this is overkill. So you're not happy again. But incidentally, unlike the situation in Latvia, he had maybe 20 other police officers in this building. So part of me is thinking, well, I haven't got the money to pay them all off, and I don't believe that this one guy, is he really going to do this in front of his colleagues? So is this corrupt, or why am I in a cell? You know, and he didn't say a word to me. He just put me in that cell and closed the door behind me. So half an hour later, he opens the door, come through. And he takes me to another floor upstairs. Quite a few police officers in like a control centre. This was a day where my sense of humour didn't work, okay? So usually it does, but it didn't on this day. And he said to me, you were going very, very, very fast. Well above the speed limit. I said, no. I said, no. He said, right, okay. And they had a huge television screen in there, and they were able to load the video showing me coming round this corner, overtaking these 2 cars. Now, although I denied to you before that it didn't look like I wasn't doing a Valentino Rossi, wow, on this video, it looked really cool. Like, really, really cool. I was like, coming round, like I could have had my knee on the floor. It was like, wow, it was really good. And I said, I don't suppose there's any way I could have a copy of that video, is there? And that was one of those moments where I probably shouldn't have asked for that, but that wasn't a good idea. Anyway, long story short on that one, they were confused. I had a British license and they really didn't know what to do with it. And they asked me for my international driving license. Now, you don't need an international driving license in Turkey, but you do to go to the likes of Azerbaijan, Armenia, and other countries, okay? Bosnia, you need one. So I had one, but I was aware that I was in a country that you didn't need one. So I thought, I can say, I haven't got one. So I said, I haven't got one. To which he said, in very good English, well, that's a shame. And I thought, is it? But it was a shame for him, because what he meant by that was, if I had an international driving license, he could have actually endorsed it. He could have put a conviction on it, done something with it. But he couldn't do anything with a British license. So, purely by fluke, I got away with that one. It did cost me €50, but it cost me €50 in a voluntary basis. I was pretty damn scared at that moment in time, and I was scared of the fact that I'd been in a cell, and I was scared of the fact that there was a lot of police officers there, and I had been really speeding. I'd been going stupid speed, so I was aware that this might not work out well. So I actually said that I had some money on me, and I was no way was I trying to bribe anybody, but if these lovely police officers could have a drink on me tonight, I would appreciate it. To which they all smiled. I left with €50 in a different wallet. So I gave them €50 and tootled on my way. So there's another police officer story. What other police officers? I'm looking at my wife at the moment because she's oh yeah, Paris. Good girl. Good girl. Sorry? Malmovich?
Malmo Bridge.
Oh yeah, Malmo Bridge. So I do the two. Told you there was all about police. Here we go. Great little story for you. Malmo Bridge. Anybody knows about Malmo Bridge, you should go there. It is the thing that joins Copenhagen to Sweden. Most incredible piece of engineering that you could possibly imagine. It is a tunnel which then goes up into an island. I'm going to guess that the tunnel is, 5 miles long. I don't know exactly. So the tunnel's 5 miles long, and then the bridge is 10 miles long. So you go a tunnel from the Denmark side, and then you come onto an island, and then you go over a bridge. It's an incredible feat of engineering. All of the material, the soil, the stones, the rocks that they dug for the tunnel, they used that to form the island, which was the start of the bridge. Okay, so I'm going to go on this thing. It cost £65 one way. Incredible. That was for a motorbike. 120 quid for a car. Insane money. But it was worth it. And I'm going to do it the next day. And I met up with a biker who told me, listen, if you're going to go on the Malmo Bridge, you got to do the following. So I said, okay, fine. What am I going to do? He said, slow the traffic behind you. He said, so that you just tootle along in the tunnel as you're going down to the bottom of the tunnel. And he said, leave yourself a huge, massive gap, nobody in front of you. And I said, right, okay. And he said, and then up that tunnel, he said, all the way up, he said, you go as fast as you can, because the euphoria for you is that when you come out of the tunnel onto the island, he said, you can't see the island. He said, so you feel as if you're just coming off the end of a cliff. And he said, it's fantastic. He said, it's just an amazing experience. You can't see the road ahead of you as long as you're going really, really, really fast. I must admit, I went to bed that night thinking, this guy might be lying to me. Maybe they haven't even built the bridge yet, and I'm just going to come flying out this tunnel straight into the middle of the flaming sea. But I trusted him. Okay. So I do exactly that. The following day, I slow the cars behind me on my lane. There's 2 lanes, but there, and I leave it, bang, and then I open it up and I come flying out this thing. And sure enough, it was an incredible sensation. Landed on this island. If it's landed on this island, I didn't leave the road, but you do come out of it and you can't see anything in front of you. You just feel as if you end of the world and bump like that, and suddenly you're on this island. And then I'm on the bridge. And then on the bridge, he had said to me, "You got to slow down now." He said, "As soon as you're on that bridge," he said, "enjoy everything." He said, "It's incredible, the height of it. You're out in the open. It's amazing." And it was one of those amazing experiences, absolutely brilliant. I recommend any biker to go on this. It's just an amazing situation. And I'm riding along and I'm going slow. I'm doing 15, 20 mile per hour, somewhere around there, just taking it all in. And there's a seagull flying along by me. And this seagull is doing what a seagull should do. He's flying alongside me and he's looking at me. He's literally giving it the big, "What the hell are you doing here?" You know, because he's as confused as me. He's sitting there and he's keeping pace with me. And it was a great moment. And although I'm not religious and I'm not particularly sentimental and I don't sort of glorify things too much, there are moments in my life when things have happened to me and I've thought, I wonder if my dad's behind that. I wonder if my grandma's behind that. People who've long since passed away. But, yeah, maybe. And this seagull, I don't know why, but this seagull, for some reason, I thought about my grandma. And my grandma, she was a real character. And she was protective, and she was okay with me riding motorbikes when I was young, but she wanted me to be careful. She actually witnessed I had a major motorbike accident when I was 16, broke my leg in 4 places, and she actually physically witnessed it. She was sitting in a front room of the house and saw the actual accident. So she had gone through a pretty nasty moment in seeing that. Anyway, I actually got this feeling in my head that her spirit was this seagull looking out for me, and it just made me smile. And the further we went on a bit, I got a little bit emotional without getting too exaggerated, and I probably filled up with a tear or so. And so what I did was I lifted my visor, and the fresh air soon clears anything like that. Makes you a man again. And then I'm at the border control coming into Sweden 2 minutes later. It's always a young lady. There was a young lady there. And she starts giving me hell. And I'm like totally confused. She said, "What are you doing?" So why, and I thought, oh, here we go. They've seen on a video that I was doing 110 mile per hour coming out the tunnel into the bridge. Here we go. She said, what are you doing? And I said, well, what do you mean? What have I done? She said, "Are you stupid?" So I said, "Well, why am I? No, I don't think I'm stupid. Why? What have I done wrong?" She said, "Your visor on your helmet." She said, "Your visor." So I said, "Yeah." So I said, "What's that?" She said, "Well, you're stupid." She said, "Lots of seagulls." She said, "Seagulls," she said, "they can on your eye." She said, "You won't see." I went, whoa. And as quick as that, I'm picturing my grandma. So as fast as anything, I say to her, "Listen, I've only been in your country for 5 minutes and you're already telling me that my grandma's about to shit in my eye." And she said, "Your grandma? Child, I don't understand." So I then tell her the story. And she's telling me the story about a motorcyclist that did come through and seagull did crap in his eye and he fell off the bike or whatever. So we are howling. I mean, we are howling at these joint stories, okay? And her boss sees that I've been at the border control for a hell of a long time now. I've been there 15, 20 minutes. There's got to be an issue. And she's only a kid, so she's young, inexperienced. So her boss thinks I've had enough of this. There's got to be something serious is happening here. So he comes hurtling round, one of those funny little moments in my life as well. He comes hurtling around in the smallest Peugeot car I've ever seen in my life, very unthreatening, okay? And he comes flying around with this tiny little Peugeot car, but parks right in front of the border. In front of the barrier. So I'm going nowhere, okay, unless I start pushing the bike backwards, but I'm going nowhere. So he's trapped me. He jumps out the car and he's shouting at her, he's shouting at me, shouting at everybody in Swedish. She explains in Swedish what's gone on. He looks completely confused. I'm doing the whole sorry act of repeating to him that this young lady suggests that my grandmother was just about to in my eye, and I don't understand why I'm in trouble. He's completely complexed, doesn't understand what the hell's going on, but does see the funny side of it, to such an extent that Series 2, this is like, if you listen to the previous podcast I did, we're back to a set of circumstances. To which he says, well, okay, that's funny. I get it. I understand. Okay, no problem at all. Where the hell are you going? So I said to him, I'm going to wherever I was going. I don't even know where I was going. But up to Sweden and then to the highest village. That's where I was going. There's Svarsteg. I'm going to the Svarsteg. Hundreds and hundreds of miles right at the top of the planet. Highest fishing village on the planet. Why? I said, well, who cares why? I said, I'm just doing it, there we go. And you do it on your own? I said, yeah. So we have a good laugh. And he said, it's a shame. He said, Malmo was a very nice place. He said, are you staying here? So I said, no. I said, am I hell? I said, I'm going to go up to Gothenburg or wherever I was going next. And he said, have you booked somewhere? So I said, no. I said, I'm booked anyway. He said, right. He said, my sister has a small hotel. So I said, yeah. And he said, it's close by. He said, you're not planning to do anything. You stay here and we will show you Malmo. And I had this fantastic evening with 4 or 5 border control guys who showed me around. What an opportunity. All because instead of just taking the rap from the girl who said, you idiot, you shouldn't be riding over here with your visor open, you should have closed it. And I could have just said, I'm sorry, I didn't realise that seagulls shit when they flew. I thought they only shit when they sat down on the grass, so I didn't know. I could have just said that, but instead it transported itself into humour. She loved it, I loved it, it was funny. She told me the story about this motorcyclist that had in his eye and he'd fallen off the bike and they had to take him off and his bike was wrecked and all of that story. And I told her about why I thought that she was telling me that my grandma had in my eye because she didn't understand the connection like anyone wouldn't, especially in a strange language. And it all developed into one wonderfully, very, very, very funny experience. Okay, so I'm still looking at my wife for inspiration because she's reminding me, Paris, this is the last police story. Oh, dear me. Actually, I've got loads more police. I'm not telling you every single thing in the world. You'd have to buy one of my books to read all about them. But here's a good little one from... So I'm in Paris and I decided I want my iconic photograph. I want my iconic photograph of my motorbike underneath the Arc de Triomphe. So I get close, and there's a pavement round there. It's pedestrianised. I'm there at a relatively quiet time of the day. I don't really have an issue. It's relatively quiet. There's a fair few people around, but not thousands of people. And I decide, right, if I'm quick here, I can get on the pavement, 5 or 6 metres over there, jump off the bike, quick photograph, literally underneath Arc de Triomphe, jump back on the bike, gone. Okay. Didn't go to plan. I didn't even really get as far as getting onto the pavement when lady police officer, not a very pretty one, not a very nice one, she comes over, no, go. So I said, I just want a photo. No. I said, just one photograph. No, you go. Oh, good, okay, fine. So, okay, I go and I think to myself, give it 5 minutes, she'll be gone 5 minutes from now. And I go round not a block as such, but I go down the road, I wait, and I come tootling back, and she's gone. Great, no problems at all. I try again, bang, she's at me straight off. Like this. This time, she's not having any of it at all. I've tried to joke with her. This woman's got no sense. She's French, for goodness sake. How can she have a sense of humour? No, I'm joking. But she hasn't got a sense of humour. This one, I've met the wrong French lady. Okay. So she gives me a ticket. I don't really understand what the ticket is. She explains to me that I don't have a fine to pay, but she's going to give me this ticket anyway. Oh, okay, fine. So she gives me this ticket, and I said, what am I doing with this ticket? And I've had plenty of those, by the way. Different things, different misdemeanors where you get in different countries where they give you a piece of paper. It's almost as if they've done their job by telling you. But then when you say to them, what do I do with this? Nothing. You take it home with you, you know. Oh, okay, fine. So long story short, I was heading south. So I was going to, south of France, Bordeaux area. So I come out of Paris and I stay in a hotel. And in a hotel, there's a bar area there. And I get talking to the barman and I tell him the story of blah, blah, blah. And I said, and she gave me some ticket or something. He said, go and get the ticket. So, yeah, okay, fine. And he reads the ticket for me. It's all in French, but he reads the ticket for me. And he said, oh, yeah, he said, it's a warning. You know, you've been told you mustn't do this again. And I said, well, I won't be because I'm not going back to Paris, am I? He said, no. He said, the strange thing is, he said, she's supposed to write on the top what you did. But he said, what did you do? And I said, well, I didn't do anything, really. I said, I was trying to get a photograph underneath the Arc de Triomphe, Eiffel Tower. But I said, but it didn't happen. And he said, this is unique. He said, your dinner's free on me. And I said, why is that? And he said, because I want this piece of paper. So I said, why is that? And he said, because this piece of paper's crazy. He said, she hasn't written down what you must not do again. So I said, so what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to write on it that you've killed 3 football fans of Paris Saint-Germain. And she's written down, you must not do this again. And he said, and I'm going to frame it. He said, I hate Paris Saint-Germain. He said, that's what I'm going to do. So that was an absolute peach for me. Brilliant. Totally backfired on the police officer concerned. I really, really hope. I was probably about an hour south of Paris, so the chances are it would never happen. But oh my goodness, because she signed it with her number and everything, I hope she got reported. I hope someone read that and decided we're going to have to... And she'd get in trouble for the mere fact that she didn't put down what I had done. And she didn't have a sense of humour. And yes, I do understand that it's a security issue, and if they allowed every idiot like me to take iconic photographs in city centres, wouldn't it be worse? Let me tell you one that you can't do. It's impossible to do. But I did it, and you know what? They just laughed, and they just thought it was great. And do you know what that was? I had an iconic photograph of my motorbike on Red Square in Moscow, right by the Kremlin. And that was taking every damn risk in the world. And the 2 Russian officers just thought it was fun. They were not worried that I was a terrorist. They weren't worried that I was going to blow up the Kremlin. They knew damn well from a million miles away what I was doing. And they just took it in the right way. And the silly lady in Paris was just using her 3 stripes on her armband just a little bit too heavy. So, yeah, I think it'd be quite funny if she happened to walk into that pub one day, or somebody reported her name and said, hey, listen, you're getting laughed at here. You make damn sure that in future you write down what it was. And he had the wit to turn around and say, yep, I had killed 3 football fans of Paris Saint-Germain, and I must not do it again. Great. Fantastic. So, again, I'm reiterating. I know I'm reiterating, but I'm telling you now, you put in the little bit of humour. You make the effort. You talk to people. You do it. And you're in a strange country. You're in a strange land. I have thousands of stories like this, absolutely thousands of stories where you've just opened up and you've just talked to someone and made that little bit of connection, made that humour, and then you've got a whole story out of it, and a story that people like. It's amusing, it's great, but it wouldn't happen if you're just going to follow the letter of the law and you're just going to follow. Sometimes you just got to do something just because it's a little bit rebellious. It's good fun. There you go.